Hello everyone, welcome to my tutorial. Today's tutorial I'm going to touch base on exception handling. We already know what exception handling is. That means in an application some error may happen or some exception may happen, but we have to handle it so that the application doesn't crash and the user knows that what happened. Now this tutorial is about how we are going to handle the exception in terms of a layered architecture. And we already know that the layered architecture is something that we divide a web application in different layers. So one of the layer is the service layer and or the business layer or the DAO layer, okay, or the database layer. Now the purpose of the layered architecture is to design a web application in such a way so that the layers communicate each other through the interfaces. So we do not directly invoke the classes, and there is a benefit of it. We already know that. Now, whenever in the layered architecture we are going to make the application, we have to make sure that the exception handling also follows such a direction. That means there should not be overlapping of the exceptions from one layer to another layer. So what does it mean? Let's go and check the slide. So the layered architecture separates data and business layers. Exceptions should be separated as well. Service layer should not be concerned about the DO layer. And then catch DO exceptions, wrap the exception, and rethrow a custom exception such as business exceptions. Make the business exception as a checked exception so that the caller is first to handle it. So we already know that what is a checked exception. That means whenever there is a checked exception, it has to be handled by the caller. Now the purpose here again that we are creating different exceptions, and one of the exception is business exception, and whenever there is a DAO or the database exception happening, we are doing what? We are rethrowing as a business exception. And the caller when it's calling the DAO method, it is first to handle it. Now we are going to discuss these things more when we are going to talk about the actual application as part of this tutorial. Now let's look into the logger thing. Logging writes log messages to a central place during execution of a program. The purpose is to retrieve information when needed, that is troubleshooting for an exception. So that means that whenever there is an exception, we need to tell the user that something is happening, and also the person who is going to debug or the person who is going to look into the exception should have some clue that what happened, and that clue we are going to put into an XML file or a text file depending on your choice, and that is what the logger comes into place. So the logger is a utility, is coming from the Java utility, and this is the package java.utl.logging.logger, and logging comes with different severity, and severity are severe warning info config. So the severity means like the highest is the severe. That means it's the highest exception. We have to immediately look into it. Something very bad happened. Okay. So these are the things that we are going to talk about again more into when we are going to make the actual application. But the main focus here is that we have to handle it. We have to handle the exception handling properly, and we have to also log our errors or exceptions within our system. Okay, so that's it for today's tutorial. Thank you.